Are there any trick?
This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and I am really excited today because I have a group on that I had never heard of before. But now that I have, and I've been listening to the music, I'm trying to figure out what rock I've been living under all these years. The name of the group is Western Centuries, and they are actually going to be playing in Cleveland tomorrow evening at the Beachland Ballroom. And for all my Cleveland friends and family, no, I've never been to the Beachland Ballroom. So I'm going to attempt to be there tomorrow evening because I have a really good excuse. So I want to welcome two of the band members with us. And either one of you can jump in, but give us a little bit of history. Who are the Western Centuries?
That's a good question. First of all,
Long answer.
so the kind of core of the group is we have 3 songwriters and 3 singers, and we all kind of swap around and trade places, and we all sing lead and bring material to the band. So that's Jim and myself and Ethan Lawton. So we all met in Seattle. I don't know when,
2010, yeah, 2010 and 11.
Wow. Okay.
But we didn't really start then. It seemed like.
No. The band didn't start then, but we started playing music together and hanging out and stuff. So yeah, and it just kind of I ended up releasing an album, like a solo album kind of, and then kind of got them to be in the band, and then it slowly just kind of morphed into, Jim started doing his songs and Ethan started doing his songs, and then here we are.
So prior to that, you were all performing either in other groups or individually. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
I've spent like, I think 20 years maybe in Dawn of the Buffalo, which is a roots kind of rocky jammy band that has toured all, is based out of actually this town we're in right now, Trumansburg.
Okay.
So I played for a long time in that. And we also, when we met, we kind of realized that we really like a lot of the same music. Like we love bluegrass. We love old time music, like, not straight rock and roll or whatever. We love the rootsier side of things. And so that commonality kind of brought us together as well, even though we'd done all kinds of different things. And Ethan had toured with a Zoe Muth and the High Rollers. And so they were a national act, so we've kind of done stuff, but this is the first, this now is, it's us.
This now is us. Okay.
That makes no sense at all.
So you said you all met in Seattle. Are you from the Seattle area?
Ethan lives in Seattle. He's from Seattle. I was living there at the time, and then Jim had just moved there. You lived there for a couple of years?
Just a couple of years. My wife was in grad school there. So I was just there kind of tagging along. And but then we moved to Chicago, but it sort of now I live in New York. You live in, well, let's say Scotland. And Ethan still is in Seattle, and our bass player lives in Lafayette, Louisiana, and our steel and fiddle player live in Nashville. So every time we get together, it's this humongous, purchase of plane tickets. Yeah,
right.
Financial catastrophe is what it starts out as.
I can imagine. Trying to get everybody together has to be
A little bit of a challenge.
Yep.
Tricky.
Yep.
Yeah.
But life is a challenge. So, hey, it just goes hand in hand. So last year during the pandemic, obviously you were all living in your own hometowns. Were you still working together? Were you Zooming and doing all those things?
Not really. I mean, after everything kind of got canceled and there was nothing on the horizon really, we all just kind of hunkered down and did our own thing. I mean, we all talked and communicated and hung out virtually sometimes,
but we didn't try any shows or any kind of attempt at that.
Yeah.
And the way we have tended to write is that we write individually. We don't like collaborate so much on writing. So we just wrote, each of us wrote a bunch of songs. So we have, we had a new record out at the beginning of the pandemic.
Wow.
And then we had 4 months of touring to support that record lined up, and not one of those dates got played. So that record is called Call the Captain, and that was a 2020 release.
Yeah.
And now we have like a whole nother record's worth of material. So we're trying to figure out how to get another record done somewhere.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I want our listeners to know, and I say this on every podcast, is that, performers like yourself, writers, you're very dedicated to your craft. And yes, it's very easy to just download the music and listen to it and enjoy it. But we always recommend that you pay for the app, pay for the music, because we want the music to keep coming. And musicians like yourself deserve to get paid for what you do. And especially after last year, tough year.
That is truer words were never spoken.
Uh,
It's a very, I mean, as probably you're aware, it's a very strange time
yes,
to be a musician,
right.
because selling records, who's buying records, who has a CD player anymore, who has, we still make them, we have them printed, but who's listening? And you make an entire album, we make 12 songs out. How we've done it is we made 3 records and we do 12 songs, and we each write 4. It's like we divide them up evenly. So, and then you make a whole album, you sequence it, and it's like, oh my gosh, you want it to sound like, but then what happens to that, nowadays?
Exactly.
It's a very strange time.
Well, and that's why I try to put this plug in on every podcast, because, when I was growing up, when you liked music, you went to the record store, there was such a thing, and you bought either a 45 or an album, and you came home and you listened to it. And when that one wore out, if it did, you went out and you bought it again.
Right.
But we know times have changed. I have family in the music industry, and I know what they went through this past year. But
Right.
you guys have been struggling even before that, because a lot of people just believe that, I can just download this for free. It's no big deal. And it is a big deal.
Yeah, in our music zone, I think they call it Americana. Like we don't really, most musicians don't particularly care about the genres, but everybody wants to put you in one.
Right.
I don't know why that is, but everybody wants to do that. So we're typically placed in the Americana category, which has great music in it. Are you aware of?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yes, that's like probably your zone. So it's like all the music you love, it's Americana, but it's not a huge money zone. You know what I mean? It's not, we ain't selling, 80 million copies. We're like struggling to sell, in the thousands, So not that would ever stop us from doing it. We're still going to do it. It's just like gotten harder and harder to make a living at it.
So what got you both into the music industry? And the reason I ask this, my brother, back in 68, 69, packed up his VW Beetle. He went to the West Coast dreaming of being a songwriter and a performer. And he got to San Francisco to meet up with a friend. And when he went into their house, as soon as he walked outside, his car was picked clean. So nothing left in it, no tires on it either. And that was his introduction to, hey.
That's a good metaphor, really, for the music industry in general.
Right.
That's kind of how life is.
Yeah. And so I watched him struggle, and he did get some good breaks along the way, but we always assume as your audience that, wow, if you're up on that stage, look at you.
I know that's always the assumption.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but we just drove 9 hours to get here in a broken down van. We ran out of gas at, hour 3, and anyway.
Well,
I'm not trying to paint a sad picture.
Well, it's not that I mean, yeah,
Totally
It's an accurate picture.
it's an
but
accurate.
it's an accurate picture, and that's what I think is amazing, because you you put yourself through all that because you love being on the stage. So again, when did each one of you decide that music was your life?
It wasn't really a decision, I don't think. It just kind of happened. I had just finished college and just like kind of sold all my stuff and started traveling around playing music. And
I'm sure your parents love that.
my parents are actually like shockingly supportive of even
Very
that.
good. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't really have any other options. So it was something.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a little different story. I actually have training as an entomologist. And
Okay.
even more specifically, I'm a lepidopterist. So I study butterflies and moths. And so
Wow.
I have like I have advanced degrees in that category. So I always had a backup thing, and I did that sometimes, but I just would always keep coming back to being a musician because it's just better people.
Well, they talk to you.
It's like, really, who do you want to hang around with? Do I want to hang around with scientists or musicians? Well, it was just not even a question. Like what we do is just amazing.
Your show doesn't have a core lepidopterist audience.
Well, if you have time while you're in Cleveland, I will tell you that our conservatory has a butterfly exhibit. And I went to it a couple weeks ago, and I've never been that close and intimate to so many butterflies. And it was amazing. It truly, truly was. So you might enjoy that. So you're going to be at the Beachland Ballroom, and the Beachland Ballroom did some renovations this past year during the pandemic. It's probably one of the best locations in the Cleveland area. And that's not the reason I haven't been there. It's just that it's about 45 minutes from home. And when you do podcasting all day long, at the end of the day, I don't want to hear anything or see anybody. So I don't get out as often as I would like. But what time does the concert start tomorrow evening?
Oh, I'd have to look at the contract.
I would too.
Yep.
It's not a late one, and we're not in the ballroom. Actually, we're in the tavern part, which is connected, but it's
Sure.
like we ain't big enough for the ballroom. We're
Well,
like
that's okay.
Far way up to the ballroom. So come on out, everybody. Maybe the next time we'll be in.
Well, hey, being in the tavern has to be even more fun. Okay, so.
Well, we did it one time before, and it was super fun. We'd done it once, so it was. And when I played with the other band, Dawn of the Buffalo, we had made it to the ballroom, so I've played in that room. But yeah, well, we want to do it with this band.
Well, we're looking forward to that. So tell us a little bit. You said your music is called Americana, but I was listening to little excerpts today, and I find them more country.
Right. Well, like now Americana kind of has. I mean, they call Chris Stapleton Americana.
Okay.
Right, and they call the two big shots and him and what's his name, Sturgill Simpson. Those are the they're, and they call who's the guy from the Drive By Trucker guy? Jason Isbell. So that those are the pinnacle, and Lucinda Williams, they're like the pinnacle of Americana. But a lot of it has a super country flavor
Right.
to it, And I think what catches your ear is the fiddle and the pedal steel.
Yes.
Which we have in this band. And that's like kind of gets your ear, oh, that's country music. But if you listen to the words, we don't sing that.
Right. And
that was sore.
And that was the interesting part. As I was listening this morning, my husband said to me, send me the link and I'll listen to it while I'm at work. And I said, okay. And he said, why did you say it's country? And I said, I was listening to the sound more than I was the words.
Right.
He was listening to the words more than he was the sound. So that's a very interesting concept.
I listen more like you. I never hear the words the first 3 times. I don't even know what it's about usually, you know. I don't know, maybe how you listen to the music.
I usually listen to the words.
So that impression of that. So, you know, every listener has a different.
Right. Well, I always assume that I'm not going to hear the words clearly. I happen to wear hearing aids. So my first thing is I need to gather that sound that like makes me really feel it. And then I go back and listen to it a second or third time. And it's like, now I know what the song is all about.
That's cool.
So you guys sound terrific. I'm excited about tomorrow night. And now I'm thinking of calling my 2 podcasters who don't want to change their time and just tell them I won't be here because I'm going to be at a concert.
So like how many podcasts would you say you would do in a day?
I do about 7 different ones a day.
Wow.
So we do entertainment podcasts, and then we have some of our basic programming that we do as well. And so we have about 10 of those. So some of them are weekly, some of them are bi-weekly, but whenever I can get an entertainment one in, I definitely love to do that. Number one, it makes me feel young because I learn something new every day and I hear new music. And I think most of us sort of get in that little rut. We hear the same music over and over again, and we don't get to see who's new or who's been around and they're new to us. And the Western centuries, for everybody listening, are terrific because I don't just say it to say it. I listened to your music before I even contacted you to be on the podcast. Because if I didn't like your music, I couldn't support you.
You would never contacted us.
I didn't contact you.
No, I said if you didn't like it, you wouldn't have.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah. And so again, I want to thank you for all you do. Tell the other band members that I hope to meet you in person tomorrow.
Okay.
And you will be at the Beachland Ballroom in the tavern where they've got great drinks and food. So everybody should just go out and have a great time.
Doors are at 7 and the show is at 8.
Show is at 8. Well,
Look it
that's
up.
easy.
Doors at 7, show at 8.
Doors
There's
open at
some
7.
hour.
Okay. I think it's a great thing to do on a Wednesday evening in Cleveland, Ohio. And
That's cool.
we can hear some new music. So I want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you tomorrow night.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.